That's your prayer. Sometimes we don't like hearing this. We don't like hearing this. But that's just the truth, my beloved people. That's just the truth. So as we are receiving answers, today again we have received 2 testimonies again, very powerful. Just before we started, just 5 minutes to, before we started, one of us called me again and was sharing, how many of you remembered I was telling us by the Spirit of God that somebody's going to be receiving phone calls that will change. How many of you remembered? How many of you remembered? How many of you remembered? Yes. Okay, Joshua, you remember. Buki, you remember. Yes. Ayomide, you remember. Blessing, you remember. Now, this person called me now. Halima, you remember. Blessing, you remember. Vicky, you remember. Patience, you remember. John, you remember. Beauty, you remember. Okay, Tina, you remember. Abigail, you remember. Gift, you remember. Ife, you remember. If you remember. Now, this person just called now 5 minutes, before we just started the prayers. And the phone call, just came in for, it's a wonderful testimony. It's a wonderful testimony to the glory of God. I was telling some people, sometimes, I think that should be sometimes last week, I was telling some people, I said there are some people amidst us that are not blowing their trumpet, but what God is doing is mind-blowing. What God is doing is mind-blowing. That was just 5 minutes before we began. While in the afternoon, one of my daughters called me. In short, myself and Mama were almost crying when we received this testimony in the afternoon. Myself and Mama were almost crying. Those of you that remembered yesterday, we prayed against death yesterday. How many of you remembered? Yesterday, we prayed against death yesterday. Today, the Lord spoke about strange voices. How many of you remember? Strange voices. Everything we are doing here, child of God, it's not adrenaline, it's not emotion, so it's the Spirit of God. I'm telling you this, child of God. It's the Spirit of God. Everything we are doing in this house is the Spirit of God. And that is why you see, because it's the move of God, God confirms it. It's the Spirit of God, God confirms it. Yes. And that is why if you see a man of God that will last under the atmosphere of the Spirit of God, not all these, make happen testimonies, or not all these crooked miracles, all these ones that they are, conjuring for people to begin to, run up and down. No, not all this emotion.